Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about expressions, orders of operations, and substitution. We're going to go through them. I got to give you some definitions first. These things you have to know. Okay, you got to understand what we're talking about because I'm going to use this terminology as we go through the class, and you need to know what I'm talking about while we're doing it. I mean, math is really a language that you're learning, and if you don't understand these definitions, you're going to struggle. Okay, so we're going to go through this. Algebraic expression. An algebraic expression is really an operation with a variable. Okay? And operations, remember, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's what an algebraic expression is. It will have an operation and it will have a variable. Something like x plus 2. That's an algebraic expression. Okay? So that's what you're looking for when you talk about an algebraic expression. Now, a variable is just a symbol, or it's just a symbol that we put in place of an unknown number. Okay, that's our value. Okay, that's what we're looking for. It's something that represents something else. That's what a variable is for us. Okay, a term of an expression may be a number, a variable, a product, or a quotient of numbers and variable. A term is separated by addition and subtraction. That's what you're looking for. When I say term, I'm saying something that is separated by addition and subtraction. So like this, 2x plus 4, this 2x, that's one term. The 4, that's one term. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. This 0.10d, this right here, that's all one term. Okay, so 3 plus z over 6, the 3 is a term, the z over the 6 is a term. Okay, so when I say term, you need to recognize that what I'm talking about is something that's going to be separated here by addition or subtraction. P times Q, not a term. That's one term together. Okay? This all together right here, that's one term. Okay? Addition or subtraction is going to separate that. Right? 2x is one term, 4 is a term. Okay? The 4 just doesn't have a variable. It's also called a constant, I do believe. Variable is a constant term, yeah. Okay, so then, in all these definitions, you need to understand so that when you look at it and I say it, you're like, oh, okay, I understand what we're talking about here. Okay, in a multiplication expression, the quantities being multiplied are factors. So if you got 2 times 8 equals 16, the 2 and the 8 are factors of 16. That's what you're looking at. Okay, and the result is the product, right? The answer to a multiplication problem is product. Okay, you've seen that. I've talked about it a little bit. And then right here, we show you all the different ways that you're going to see multiplication. A variable directly up against another variable, that's multiplication. A variable with the dot and the y, that's multiplication. See the little parentheses? That's multiplication. And they do the same thing all throughout here. The other thing is that you could have like 2 directly up against x. That's multiplication also. That's 2 times x. Okay, so you're going to see all these. Notice that what they don't use in this is the x to show multiplication. We no longer use that because in algebra, we use x as a variable. And if you put that x in there, you're saying that that x is a variable and that's something that you got to look for. You can't do that anymore, okay? No more putting x for multiplication. Break that habit. All right, a power. So an expression like x to the n is called a power. Okay, the n is the exponent. So the exponent, that's what you're looking for when we say exponents, that the number up above it on the right-hand corner of another number or a variable. That's what we're looking for. That's the exponent. The x is the base. Okay. Now what the exponent tells us is how many times you multiply that number times itself. That's what an exponent is. And I'm going through this fast because this is kind of a review video and you should have already seen this before. So that's what we're looking at. Okay? And the base is the number that you're going to multiply times itself, however many times the exponent says to it. This whole thing is the power. All right? That's what we're looking for, or what we're looking at. All right, so let's talk a little bit about verbal expressions. So in algebra, in math, you're going to see words and you're going to have to convert them to expressions or equations depending on the way they're taught, right? Or what you're looking at. Today we're going to talk about expressions. So we're going to be looking at algebraic expressions, which means that they have a variable in an operation. And you're going to be asked to take them from the algebraic expression to words, or from the words to the algebraic expression, depending on what they're asking you to do. Okay? When you take the algebraic expression to words, write it just like you read it. Okay? So here, 3. When you have a number directly up against a variable, that's multiplication. So 3 times x to the 4th power. And look, they say 3 times x to the 4th power. When you take that algebraic expression to words, write it just like you read it. You should be able to read this. Okay? It makes perfect sense, right? 5 times z to the 2nd plus 16. 5 times z to the 2nd power plus 16. Okay? And then you can come down here and do these two. I'm not going to, I'll do one. 16 times u to the 2nd power minus 3. That's what you're looking at. Okay? Don't overcomplicate this portion of it. Okay? It's not that complicated if you just write it like you read it. Okay? The more complicated parts is making sure that when you take it from words to the expression. That's a little bit more complicated. You got to be careful with. What you're going to see are these different types of words. These plus some. Okay? So what you have is, for addition, more than, sum, plus, increased by, added to. You need to recognize these as addition or sum. Okay? Subtraction. Less than. This is the tricky one. Be careful with that one. Subtracted from. Difference. Decreased by. Minus. Subtraction is the tricky one. You got to watch the wording on it, because one way you write it one way and another way you write it a different way. So we've got to watch that. And we'll talk about it here in a minute. Multiplication. Product of, multiplied by, times of. Okay, so be aware of this. Division, quotient of, divided by. You'll see other words that are also included in this. There's lots of lists online that give you an almost comprehensive. So if you need those, look them up, because they're very, very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to go from here over to here, because we got some good ones put up here. And we got some of the ones that are actually more of the tricky ones that you got to watch for, and the ones that are commonly missed. So we're going to kind of be aware of this. M less than B. This is the one that I said, be careful with. This is the trick one. Okay? What you're doing is really B minus M. Okay, we're taking this one, because this is saying M is less than B. So you're going to take this B over here, minus the M, and then there you have it. Okay? So be aware of this. Watch this one. It will get you. It gets me sometimes still. You just got to be careful with what you're doing. So watch that. The sum of x and y subtracted from. Subtracted from M. So the sum of this is going to be subtracted from this. Okay? So, it's all about reading it and reading it slowly and making sure that you comprehend what's going on. So we know that we got M, right, minus the sum of x and y. So we got x plus y, but wait, you got to be careful. The sum of x and y, the sum of this is getting subtracted from this. So this goes in parentheses, because you're going to do this first, then you're going to subtract it from this. Okay? Watch that. This makes a huge difference. These parentheses here change everything. Be careful. Watch that. 5 decreased by the quotient of M and K. So quotient, the answer to a division problem. Decreased by subtraction. So 5 is going to get decreased by this amount. So 5, so you see how this is different than what we did up here? Look, 5 minus, okay, the quotient of m and k. So m and k. So quotient of m and k. And now how did I know which one went on top and which one went on the bottom? The m came first. M and k. Now I don't have to put this in parentheses because the order of operation tell me to do division first before I do subtraction. But if you wanted to, you could have. Okay? But I didn't need to. So 5 minus the quotient of m and k. Guys, the key to doing verbal expressions and converting them into algebraic expressions is to read them carefully and make sure you don't rush through them, because when you rush through them, you're going to make mistakes with these things. Okay? Very easy to do. Use your keywords that you have and take your time with them. Okay? Very easy to make mistakes. And there's lots of other ones. There's lots of examples that we could give. Those are the key ones that people make mistakes on, so be aware of those. All right. Orders of operations. And we're going to include substitution in this here in just a minute. This first one we don't. But orders of operations. All right, we're going to go through them. And you've heard of PEMDAS or GEMDAS, depending on who your teacher is. But it's grouping symbols or parentheses. That's the way they say it, right? So grouping symbols. Exponents. Okay? Multiplication or division from left to right. Addition or subtraction from left to right. All right? So for first part, grouping symbols, so that includes parentheses, absolute values, anything that groups together, that's what we're looking at. We're going to do those first. Okay? Remember, when you're dealing with grouping symbols, you do the innermost grouping symbols first, then you work your way out. Okay? So grouping symbols, exponents, whatever exponents you have, after you've done the grouping symbols, you do that. Then you do multiplication or division from left to right. Notice I didn't say and division, I said or, right? Hang on just a second. Okay, so multiplication or division from left to right. So you take it from left to right and you do it in order, multiplication or division, as you go. Then you do your addition or subtraction from left to right. Okay? Orders of operation are the basis for math. You have to know that if you want to be able to be successful at math. You know those, know them by heart, know how to work a problem. Math opens up and it becomes easier. So, we're going to practice a little bit. We got 8 plus 3 to the third over 12 minus 7 plus, notice straight lines, it's a grouping symbol, it's absolute value. So we're going to take the absolute value of whatever we get out of there. Okay, so negative 3 plus 8, we're going to do this first. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to rewrite my problem and I'm going to work it. Okay, so 8 plus 3 to the third over 12 minus 7 plus, well, 8 plus negative 3 gets me 5. Okay, so then we have the absolute value of 5. Well, what's the absolute value of 5? Remember, absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. Okay, so distance from 0 here, it's always going to be positive coming out of that. So I get a positive 5. So 5. That's what we're looking at. Now, I'm going to do my exponent. Okay, 8 plus 3 to the third is the same thing as saying 3 times 3 times 3. So you got 3 times 3 is 9, times 3, 27. Okay, so 8 plus 27 over, and if you wanted to, you could do this 12 minus 7 if you wanted to right here when you bring this down. Okay, because really what's happening is you have this down here. Okay, you could do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that because 12 minus 7, 5. Froze up. 5 plus 5. Okay, now I need to add the top part together. 8 plus 27, 34 over 5. Is that right? 27, 28, 29, 30, 21, 32, 35. I knew that one, right? 35 over 5 plus 5. All right? So now I'm going to do the division. 35 over 5. 7 plus 5 gets me 12. And you have a good answer. Notice, I mean, guys, obviously some of these things, I skipped a few steps, but I took it all in order, okay? When you take it in order and you rewrite it, and you be careful with it, you're gonna be fine, all right? Rewrite them, don't try and do them all together. Rewrite the problem. Notice, yeah, I did this step and this step kind of together, but as you go, rewrite that problem, make sure you have a good answer there. All right, so we're gonna come over here, still orders of operations, but now we're gonna introduce substitution. Substitution is just taking a number and putting it in place of your variable. Okay, that's all it is. You're taking this, something and putting it in place of something else. Literally the definition of substitution, okay? So, here we go. We're gonna take this, and before I do anything, if they give me this stuff, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna substitute it in. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna rewrite my problem. Absolute value of 1 plus 3, absolute value 2 minus y, which is 4. Minus 4 over, what is x? Negative 2. Negative 2 times 2 plus 7. Okay, there we go. Now I have my problem. Now I'm back to just like we had over here, and all we got to do is work this problem. So, grouping first, 1 plus 3 is 4. So I got the absolute value of 4 raised to the second power. So, 4 to the second power minus 4 over negative 2 times 2 plus 7. And guys, I understand that you're not going to write this down all the way through. You're going to maybe do this and then this. But order of operations tells me to do this first. Okay? So 4 to the second, it's 4 times 4, that's 16. So I get 16 minus 4 over negative 2, parentheses 2, plus 7. Okay? Now, these are basically in groups here. Okay? So now I got 16 minus 4. That gets me 12 over. And I'm going to go ahead and do this negative 2 times 2. That gives me 4. Negative 4 plus 7. Okay? That gets me 12 over negative 4 plus 7. Subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. Okay? Over 3. 12 divided by 3 gets me 4. And there's my answer. Each step. Just take it nice and slow. Don't rush. Okay? When you rush, you make mistakes. But take the time to write it down. Okay? All right. Same thing here. We're going to substitute in first. Always rewrite your problem with the number substituted in first. It makes it easier. So, 7 to the second minus 7 minus 44 over 10 minus y, which is 4, times 2. Should be times 2. That's in parentheses. That kind of looked like an exponent to me for a second. Be careful when you write your problems down. Make sure that you write them correctly, because you do something like that and you get confused and you go back and look at it. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check, did I write it correctly? Because I don't want to work it all out if I didn't write it down correctly. Right? 7 to the second minus 7, okay, minus 44. All right. 10 minus 4 times 2. Okay, so I look good. All right, so now I'm just going to start working this, and exponents first. 7 to the second powers, 7 times 7, 49, minus 7, minus 44, over 10, minus, I'm going to go ahead and do this multiplication because I've already done the exponent. Okay, 4 times 2, 8. Now, I'm gonna pick the top of the bottom to work and deal with that and go from there. 49 minus 7 gets me 42 minus 44 over 10 minus 8 gets me 2. Next part of that, 42 minus 44 gets me negative 2 over 2. 42 minus 44, okay? You can come in here, you add its inverse. Did I say that right? Yeah. 42 plus negative 44, right? Gives me negative 2 over 2, which gets me negative 1. And there we have our answer. Yeah. As orders of operations, we should be good at, but our problems are going to start getting a lot harder. Right? They're going to get bigger. Our problems are going to get, just continue to get bigger as we progress in math. And so the better you are at this orders of operations, the easier it is. If you have any questions, you need help, come let me know.